The next time you reach for a Monster energy drink, read the label. You won't find much explaining what you're consuming, but you will find this, the promise of a killer energy brew. Sadly, that's just what 14-year-old Anise Fournier of Maryland may have gotten last December, having consumed two 24-ounce cans in 2 days. Her family claims she was killed by Monster. Now her family is suing the company, and the FDA is investigating claims that Monster contributed to 5 deaths and 1 non-fatal heart attack.
They can only create potential side effects if you're not careful.
Fox News senior managing health editor Dr. Manny Alvarez cautions there's no way for you or your teen to be fully informed when it comes to consuming any energy drink because they aren't regulated by the FDA. And why? Energy drinks are considered dietary supplements, not food.
They may pick up one of these drinks just to feel better or thinking that they're going to get more energy. In reality, what is happening, they're getting dehydrated, so they're going out in the field there and sweating, and that could really also affect the electrolytes and many times really create a cardiac abnormality.
The American Academy of Pediatrics reports kids and teens should consume no more than 100 milligrams of caffeine in 1 day. Anise Fournier consumed almost 500 milligrams over 2 days. Her intake alone equaled 14 12-ounce cans of soda. The company points out more than 8 billion cans of its drinks have been safely consumed since 2002. It also says it is, quote, unaware of any fatality anywhere that has been caused by its drinks. Still, this news isn't sitting well with Manhattanites looking for a pick-me-up.
I didn't think an energy drink would damage your body. I thought it was supposed to help your body to function in the morning.
What remains to be seen is if claims like those found in that lawsuit lead to greater congressional oversight of the energy drink industry. Reporting on the Upper East Side, Teresa Priolo, Fox 5 News.
Stock in the Monster energy drink maker continues to fall. This after word that federal health officials are investigating reports that the company's highly caffeinated products are linked to at least 5 deaths. Among them, a 14-year-old Maryland girl whose parents are now suing. They claim the girl died from caffeine toxicity after drinking 2 24-ounce cans of the energy drink in a 24-hour period. There's some context to be had here. According to the Center for Science and the Public Interest, a can of Monster's best-selling drink has roughly 5 times the amount of caffeine as 1 12-ounce soda and double what you would get in an average cup of coffee. Now, Monster has released a statement saying, quoting here, that it's unaware of any fatality anywhere that has been caused by its drinks. Dr. Lisa Matzner joins us now. She is a cardiologist. These energy drinks are listed as dietary supplements. I mean, you see a lot of kids that come in and they feel like their heart's palpitating. Any link, do you believe, between these drinks and heart problems?
Well, I think a lot of young kids feel this is just a drink to have at the end of the day when they're thirsty and they don't realize there are things that are in these drinks. The 2 main things in these drinks, caffeine and sugar.
Right.
In general, we don't want you to have too much caffeine. And we know, what does caffeine cause? Rapid heart rates, nervousness, insomnia. So those are side effects, and these can lead to more serious problems.
You look at the cans there, Dr. Matzner, and they say they're not supposed to be marketed to kids. In fact, there's a thing on the label that says, not really meant for kids, but kids are having these. I have nieces and nephews that have friends that are drinking 6 and 7 of these things a day.
I think the problem is they don't realize that there's more in them than what an average drink would be, an average soft drink, juice, milk, water. So I don't think they're informed. I don't think that it's a horrible thing to have 1 or 2, but again, we vote for moderation as opposed to enormous amounts. If you're a young child, especially if you're dehydrated and you're exercising a lot, it may not be that healthy for you to do that and then run a marathon after that or run in a race, because you're going to feel your heart pounding really quickly.
And it's also no secret that a lot of kids are taking these drinks and they're mixing them with things like a little bit of vodka or something else.
And other caffeine drinks too. Caffeinated things on top of caffeinated things become an enormous amount of caffeine.
So that just kind of...
It's additive.
Yeah, bad stuff. Dr. Matzner, great to see you.
Thank you.
And Kelly's Court is back in session. On the docket today, a potentially deadly energy drink. On the same day, the FBI launches an investigation into reports of 5 deaths now, possibly linked to Monster energy drink. A Maryland family is suing the company. They say their teenage daughter died after drinking just 2 cans of the stuff. A 14-year-old girl named Anise Fournier who had a heart attack, they say brought on by caffeine toxicity last year. However, that is not the full story, and now there's a question about whether they can sustain this lawsuit. Joining me now to discuss it, Joey Jackson, a former prosecutor and defense attorney, and Mercedes Coleman, who is a Fox News legal analyst. All right, Mercedes, so just make the case on behalf of the girl's family, because a lot of people drink this drink and don't die of heart attacks. So how do they prove that there was something inherently defective about the product?
My job. Monster's going to come forward and say, wait a minute, first off, we have a warning on the label. I have a can right here. I'm not going to put my glasses on.
Oh, wait, Joey, are you representing the family?
I am representing the family.
All right, stand by, Mercedes.
Okay,
I'm so confused. It's a miracle I've made it this far. I've got my energy drink right here. Joey, you make the girl's case.
Well, here's the story. What I think this is a classic case of strict liability. Here's why. It's defective product and it's unreasonably dangerous. When you have a product that you introduce to the market that has 7 times the amount of caffeine that would be in a normal 12-ounce of can of soda, I think that's problematic. When you market that particular product in a manner with a warning, there may be a warning, but it's insufficient, I think there's cause for concern. When you further put on notice, because there was an investigation by the Food and Drug Administration stemming back to 2004 regarding other fatalities that were associated with this, and finally, Megan, when you have an autopsy report that concludes, as you stated at the outset, that her death was due to toxicity regarding the caffeine, I think that that's problematic for the company.
May I proceed,
Okay, Mercedes,
Your Honor?
but there's more to the story.
Always.
Your Honor, this is how it goes. Frankly, it's not an inherently dangerous product. Why do I say that? Because there isn't a study that says that a number of individuals that consume this product have actually had lethal circumstances. So we can set that aside. Secondly, there's a warning on the can. I bought the can on the way here, and it says clearly, not recommended for children. That's a clear warning. It is a tragic, horrible circumstance that this 14-year-old died, but she is a minor, she is a child. This drink has a warning that specifically targets her age group that says you should not be drinking this. And thirdly, the Monster drink is going to come forward and say she had a heart defect, a congenital heart defect that caused her death. This, if it ever goes back into trial, you get before the jury, it's going to be the battle of the experts.
2 issues.
Where her experts are going to come, his experts are
Go
going to
ahead,
come
Joey.
in
2
and say
issues,
that
Megan.
that was her heart defect that killed her.
If I may. Now, of course, Mercedes, being the fabulous lawyer that she is, would note on the container that she has, but she would look, only a lawyer like Mercedes would look at that tiny little print that talks about how there's a warning. The fact is that the warning is clearly insufficient, number one. Number two, with
And
respect
look at the way
to
they dress the can, Joey, the way they dress the can.
It's marketed to children. You have to know that children are going to be consuming this, particularly in a day and age where people are busy, people are consumed with their life, and they need to stay up. Number two, with respect to the prior condition that this girl had, we all know what we call, Megan, you know this very well, Mercedes, the eggshell or thin skull plaintiff. And what that means is you take your plaintiff as you find them. If a person has a prior existing condition, which would, if supplemented by caffeine, cause their death, that represents a problem.
There has to be some foreseeability.
Well,
though,
but
Joey,
the
and
other
that's
thing
gonna be
is,
the big
Mercedes,
issue.
but the other thing, Mercedes, is that I read she had some condition, and they said potential heart muscle weakening, and then I read further and it said it was mitral valve prolapse, which is a heart murmur, which millions and millions of Americans have, and they're fine, and they drink tons of caffeine, and they don't have heart attacks. So, is the company really going to be able to get out of liability by saying she had a condition that millions of Americans who consume tons of caffeine had?
They can, because it's really it's all about proximate cause. What caused her death? If we've got an expert, I'm sure they will get plenty that say that it was her heart, a congenital heart defect.
How did she drop dead? All right, let me jump in. I'll give you this again, Mercedes. But then how did she drop dead? With all due respect, I know, I'm sorry to be so callous. Let me take that back. How did she die? If it was all about the heart murmur just stimulated by a little caffeine, was it just coincidental that she downed 2 of these Monster drinks and then died? I mean, they're going to say it had nothing to do with it?
They will say that it was a contributing factor, but it wasn't the end-all and for-all of her death. There was a contributing factor, but if you're looking at it's not an inherently dangerous product. You have to look at the studies. There have been 5 deaths, but certainly not even 5 deaths. We don't know the circumstances of the others. They may have had heart disease as well. So they're going to come forward and say it wasn't the actual cause of her death. Yes, it may have been a contributing factor, but that's ultimately not make it responsible.
Before I give you the floor, Joey, 1 ounce of a Monster product has about 10 milligrams of caffeine. 1 ounce of Red Bull has less than that. So this, I mean, just 9.5 milligrams of caffeine, so 0.5 milligrams less. It's almost the same as Red Bull.
Yeah, what I think you're doing, though, what I think they're doing is they're introducing a product onto the market which could clearly be and could clearly cause harm, like it did cause harm. And with regard to the admission that it was a contributing factor, that's enough. If you apportion liability and you say that based upon this poor little precious gorgeous girl's death and her consuming this drink, 2 drinks within 24-hour period, and that contributed to her death, that's liability. They need to go back, rework this product, and introduce one that is safer into the market.
That warning is enough.
I mean, Red Bull's been out there for a while, and people are drinking that all the time. Just ask Carl Cameron. He survives on that stuff. All right, guys, I got to run.